Hey everybody, it's Dr. Goldner, just getting ready to start. Hang in there 1 second while I make sure. There we go. All right. Starting live video here, starting live video there. All good. We're here everywhere. Hello. As I said, it's Dr. Brooke Goldner, and I want to welcome you to Wellness Wednesday, where I come on every week as much as I can to give you free coaching and help to have a better life, better health, mentally, physically, and whenever possible to answer questions to help you along the way. As those of you who know me already know, this is actually week 1 of our current rapid recovery group. For those of you who don't know me, this is an intensive group of people who choose to work with me every day. And it's our first week, so they need a lot of help and support right now. So I can't do my full hour, but I never want to let you down. And I wanted to come in and talk to you about a comment that I received online, because I think it's a big thing that people need help with. And so I thought if I can come in and offer support with this thing, maybe that will help power some of you through, well, this week and some of the biggest issues that you face. It's a big one that we work on in my group. A lot of people need daily support here, but I want to plant the seed with you and see if maybe it can lead to some really powerful growth for you. This came from, I like to look at my comments and see where people are asking questions or need help. And so on an Instagram post I did recently, last week, it was a video about not identifying with your illness, not taking on your illness as an identity or your diagnosis as an identity. And I post slightly different content on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and to try to help people in every way I can daily, in addition to doing free live work. But the comment I received on Instagram, one of them was, but how can you not make lupus part of your identity? And I did, of course, write some stuff back. But that comment's been sitting with me and really made me think that there's so many more people who need help with this. Not just about not keeping your diagnosis as your identity, but also your traumas and your pains as your identity. How many of you sitting there right now, how many of you know that part of how you think about yourself is that I am someone who's in pain, I'm someone who lives with loss, I'm someone who's constantly in grief, I'm someone who can't have life that I want? How many of you identify your life that way? And in that video, I was talking specifically about the identity of illness. Like, I don't think of myself, or even when I had lupus, I've been lupus free for almost 20 years now, but even with all the years I had lupus, I never thought of myself as a lupus sufferer or a lupus warrior or a loopy. Never. Lupus was something I had to deal with, cope with, and overcome, but never did I put the label on myself. If any label, I'll call myself a lupus conqueror. But I never held that label. And so that's really one important part, and we can talk about that a bit. But the other is, I find people have so much difficulty not only letting go of the labels of identity around illness, but also letting go of trauma, letting go of pain, and not making that a part of your daily existence every day. So I thought if I could come on for a little bit, that would be something that I would love to share about. So first part, how do you not attach identity to illness? Well, if I met you out in the wild, as I sometimes do, I once met someone who blocked my shopping cart. She came running at me full speed with her shopping cart to block the aisle to say hi. Scared us a little bit. But if I met you out in the wild and I said, tell me about yourself, what would you say? Would you say, oh, I'm someone who's really sick and suffering and life is terrible? Or would you say, oh, well, I'm 48 years old and I'm married to a wonderful husband and I have a wonderful son who's in school and I have this career and I have this? How would you identify yourself? Usually in those moments when someone says, tell me about yourself, they're looking for that. They're looking for, who are you in terms of who do you love and what do you do or what do you care about? Those are our identity. So even when I was sick with lupus at 16, all the way through to 28, my identity was as a daughter, as a granddaughter, as a learner, I love reading. I love learning. Oh my gosh. I related to that. Remember that Twilight Zone where the guy just wanted to be able to read every book and then the world ends and then he could read every book and then he breaks his glasses. And of course the Twilight Zone, I mean, that was a spoiler, but it was from a long time ago. Well, I relate to that idea, read every book. I love science fiction. I love to laugh. I love to make other people laugh. I love to serve. I love to do things that make people feel good. I like to help people feel seen and cared for. That's who I am. Lupus and arthritis and rashes, kidney disease, blood clots, mini strokes, photosensitivity, migraines. That wasn't who I was. That's what I had to deal with. That's what I had to cope with. That's what I had to treat in order to keep being all the things that I am. So it's really important to separate those things out. This is what I have to deal with, what I have to treat, what I have to overcome. But that is not who I am. And I feel sad when I see social media channels that are committed to just showing the daily pain of disease. And I know on some level, people want to see it or put it out there so people can understand. So I get that. I'm not judging it. I'm just saying how it feels to me. And sometimes people want to be able to relate to others who are having those illnesses. But to me, what's inspiring is seeing people overcome and seeing what people are doing in spite of it. Like, yes, I have lupus, but look at this art I created. Look at this thing that I did. Look at this thing that I care about. I think we need to be careful not to make our lives about the worst parts of life. Because then we've lost the essence of what makes it good, right? That life is always going to come with pain. It's always going to come with loss. There's always going to be some amount of suffering or loss because that is what happens in an existence, in a life. We have these beautiful things and we have painful things. And so it's so important to hang your hat on, to identify with the beautiful things as who you are and what you live for. And the painful things, well, we have to overcome them. We have to grieve them, but we can't lie down with them, bury ourselves in them, because then we've lost what life really is. And as long as you are awake every day, as long as you're breathing, if you're listening to me right now, then you are alive. And therefore there is life to live and there is beauty and we have to look for it. There was an interview, how many of you saw this interview with Stephen Colbert, who's a comedian? And he said in the interview, so Stephen Colbert has experienced severe trauma in his life. His father and at least one sibling, maybe it was more than one, died in a car crash when he was a kid. And so he had to live with that and with a grieving mother, with, all the loss that he had himself, and find a way to life. And the interviewer was talking to him about this, how he's been able to create a joyful life and be a comedian in spite of all the pain. And he said, and he attributes this to J.R. Tolkien, but what he said was, what punishments of God are not gifts? And it made me cry when I heard it, and it makes me cry now. Whether you're religious or not, when you think about that, like, punishments of God really is about what things do we suffer that we didn't ask for, that are out of our control, that just happened to us, right? What punishments are not gifts? Not that we would ever wish for them. I would not wish for any of the pains that I've experienced, but that we can grow from them, that we can create beauty from them. The biggest pains of my life are still gifts too. Living with lupus for 12 years was painful. I would not have wished for it. I wouldn't ask for it. I don't want it back. That's why I'm still drinking my smoothie, right? But had I not spent 12 years of dealing with lupus, fighting lupus, getting treated for lupus, between chemotherapy and shots for the blood thinners, for the mini strokes, and the stress and fear that it created whenever some new symptom came up, had I not gone through it and then recovered from it, reversed the disease and gotten well, then I wouldn't have now be able to help all of you. I wouldn't be able to help other people all over the world, thousands of people now all over the world, become free of arthritis and multiple sclerosis, scleroderma, Sjogren's, heart failure, diabetes. The list goes on and on. So many more lives are saved because of my suffering than had I not had lupus. I probably still would have become a doctor. I love science. I love to serve. I love to care for people. There's a good chance I still would have become a doctor, but maybe not. But the gift from my suffering makes it worth it. And I will always look at the gifts versus the pain and suffering. I'm not going to say those years were lost. Those years were a part of creating this person that enough of you like to come even by and listen to me every week. Even the worst pain in my life, losing my son, I'd take lupus back any day. But if I didn't have that, I might also have lost the gift of being his mother, which I would never give up because it was one of the greatest gifts of my life. So if I can do that, if I can find the gifts in the pain and still find reasons to find life beautiful, then you can too. And if there's one thing that my life can teach any of you, besides how important kale is and how important water is and sleep and stress management and all the things I teach you every week, if my life can mean something to you, let it be this: that you cannot define your life and your personhood by the pain. The pain is, well, it's kind of like how food tastes the best when you've been hungry. That the pain is something that can help us see and appreciate the good in our lives. One of my little quotes, and I'm always making up little sayings to help things be relatable, is that, well, crap stinks, right? If you have crap on your lawn, it smells bad, right? And if life's giving you crap, it's disgusting. It fills up, it piles up, it's disgusting. However, if you know how to use it, crap can be an amazing fertilizer. In fact, that's what they use to fertilize plants. And so I think that that's the meaning of that quote, the gifts, what suffering from God are not gifts, that any pain and stress and suffering we go through can fertilize our life and make it more beautiful and amazing, but we have to not lay in the crap and roll around in it and coat ourselves in it. We can't define our life as crappy. We have to step back and we have to look at, how can I turn these things into gifts? How can I find the gifts? Because existence is still worth it. Life is still beautiful. And when we're in the darkness of it, we have to fight harder to reach for the beauty. I felt like, especially grief in the beginning, feels like drowning. It's like there's no air. And so when you're drowning in grief, you have to really kick hard and push to reach for a breath of air. That the self-care has to be next level, because the little things that used to make you happy don't work anymore because you're underwater and you can't breathe. So you have to do really big things. You have to spend more time with people. You have to make yourself get out and exercise every day. You have to do all the things that create even little sparks of dopamine and happiness, because that little spark or moment of happiness gives you a little bit more air. And then eventually you'll find that you're swimming again. And then maybe you can even lay and float and enjoy the sunlight and not feel like you're gasping anymore. That's how I got to the point where I am today, even with the losses I've had, is I never stopped swimming. I never stopped reaching for it and finding ways to breathe and finding ways to feel good again. And that is one of the most important things you can do to not identify with illness and not identify with loss and with trauma, is you have to keep reaching for the things that make you feel good. You have to do them even though you do not feel like doing them. Okay. And the other is to look for what we can be grateful for even through it. One of the things that pain and loss does is it makes us another human on the planet, because every human who lives long enough is going to experience pain or suffering or loss of some kind. And it is the great equalizer. Besides going to the bathroom, also a great equalizer. Told you, I like humor too. It's gotten me through my darkest moments is humor. But we all are going to suffer something. And so we have to choose, do we define our lives and our meaning and our identities by the pain, by the diagnoses, or do we define it by the joys, by the gratitude, by the purpose, by the passion? That is a choice we must make. And if you can identify and reach for the gifts, if you can pursue happiness, even when you don't feel like it, because that's when you need it most, and then you take power from the things you do have power over. We don't have power over so many things, right? We don't. But there's certain things we do have power over. And I find when people embrace the negative, when they embrace the fear and the pain and the loss and the suffering, they ignore their power. And then what that does is it creates more fear, more loss, and more suffering. But if instead we can go, you know what? I don't want more suffering than I need to. There are certain things I could never prepare for. Worst pains in my life, never could have seen it coming. But there are many things I can prepare for. And one of those things is I can keep myself as healthy as humanly possible. And how do I do that? I'm still hyper-nourishing every day. Went to the gym this morning, had an amazing back workout. My biceps barely work, but that's all right. I spend time with people who make me feel seen and loved and cared for. Because I put a lot of that out in the world. I don't let people into my inner circle who aren't going to give that back. Life is short. Surround yourself with people who see you and make you feel good, who appreciate you, who send you love, who are there to support you. I do things that are fun to increase my happiness level. Again, last Friday, my husband and I went to a comedy show. We love them. We go to ones that no one's heard of, with people no one's ever heard of, cheap. And we always try to sit in the front row, so hoping we'll get made fun of because it's fun. Look for the fun, embrace the joy, right? And take power over the things you can, who you spend your time with, how you eat, how you deal with your stress. All of those things are in your power, and you have so much more power than you realize. Because again, at some point, life will get you. And sometimes you think life already got you, like I did. I'm like, okay, after the lupus, everything should be roses from here. Not necessarily, no. But if you've planted enough roses, even if some shit gets you, some crap, sorry, I know I have some sensitive listeners. Even if some gets you, you can use it for fertilizer. Sometimes you need to step back and you need to grieve and you need to let people hold you up, but you got to do it. Don't lay down in it. Don't identify it, because your life isn't done, and that is what is in your power. So that is what I wanted to tell you about today. And I hope that it helps you. As you can see, I also believe that part of healing and part of my gifts that I feel like I've gotten from what I've been through is the ability to use what I've been through to help other people suffer less and enjoy life more, whether it's through better health physically, nutritionally, or emotionally. Because even in the darkness, it's still beautiful to be here. I still wouldn't choose anything else. And I hope that's the same for you. So if you happen to have been having a hard day or a dark day, or you needed this message, that's what I was here to deliver. I do have to jump because I got a lot of folks to take care of. And in my rapid recovery group, this is a lot of the work that we do on a daily basis, right? Learning the nutrition is pretty fast. We now have an app. They're learning the app. They're getting it down this week. But changing the way you think, learning how to create fertilizer out of the crap, and creating a life you want to live, that is the work that pays off the most. And it makes eating a lot easier, right? So I am going to go spend that time there because they need me and they signed up for this. So this was the time I was able to give today, but I hope it was time that was worth it for you. And I'll be back next week. My guess is next week people will be kind of locked in and rolling, and I'll have more time to spend donating my time for you guys. But in the meantime, I gave you some 20 minutes, hey, and I hope that it made a difference for you. So I hope you have a great rest of the week, and I plan to see you all next week. Bye, everybody.